Okay. Christopher, you're on mute.
Of course I am.
Christopher's had some technical difficulties last
Can you
minute this
see me?
morning. I can see you.
I'm all on my phone. I'm trying to like negotiate the camera. I'm going to be that uncle on Zoom who like talks like this the whole time. See their
So
forehead.
just to give everyone context, Christopher's just lost power at his house. So
Yay!
last minute winging it. And all right, so how are you feeling? You want to take a deep breath?
I do, only because the last time we lost power was a few days ago when we had a tornado go
Really?
100 yards through our upstate community. So, oh my gosh, it's really devastating actually to drive down the street and see these huge ancient trees just toppled over and the roots pulled up from the ground. One poor home is completely destroyed and another one is partially destroyed. So this was all like Wednesday. Like we're sitting here and it gets dark, like Wizard of Oz dark. Like I expected Elmira Gulch to like knock on our door and say, "Give me your dog." And we were so oblivious until the next day we realized a tornado has gone through our neighborhood, and so we're okay. The community is okay, but so when the power goes out right now, we're like, "What's going on?" So anyway, but we're okay.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're. How close was it that it touched down? Like
about 100 yards. Like from us, yeah, we have. I mean, between us and the first house that was affected, it's like 15 houses. So, you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is. I mean, I guess it's good that we didn't know while it was happening. And I guess it's especially good that, you know, we're okay, but country living.
Maybe I'm totally oblivious because I didn't even know we had tornadoes on the East Coast because I grew up in the Midwest, which we do have lots of tornadoes. There's always tornado drills at school. You know what you have to do. But I did not know that this area got tornadoes.
Yeah. So anyway, but we're okay. All deep breaths. I'm very excited about our guests. So I don't want to speaking of forces of nature.
That is the best introduction ever. Denise, would you like to? There she is.
There I am.
Oh gosh, now what can I see everyone? Oh yeah, there you are.
Force of nature. Oh my gosh.
Yes, you are a force of nature in the best way possible. What is that? Now I'm thinking of that commercial. It was in the 80s. And don't mess with what is.
It's not nice to fool Mother Nature.
Yes. And what was the product? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't even know. Some kind of butter that was fake or something. I don't know.
That's right. It was like margarine. It was a commercial for margarine as opposed to butter and
it's not even food. It's just poison anyway. So
yes.
What that was about.
And the slogan was like, "It's not nice to fool Mother Nature," because she was fooled into thinking that the margarine was actually butter. Anyway.
Wow, you guys really remember? I don't remember that at all. So.
Okay, maybe it's a generational thing. I'm sure.
Yeah,
a lot of commercials that you.
Yes. You're a latchkey kid raised by the television sometimes. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Hello, Deacon Denise.
Hi.
We're very happy to have you on. We're very excited that you're about to embark on this sabbatical. I'm jealous, very, very jealous. So, you know, we wanted to have you on to sort of chat with you and of course hear about, you know, what you're going to do during your sabbatical and all of that fun stuff. And then, you know, do our normal sort of question jig. So did you want to tell us a little bit about what your sabbatical plans are?
I will tell you a little about it. And you know, your normal gig, I mean, really, you actually use the word normal for anything you do. You're so creative. So, you know, usually I use the word sabbatical, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek, especially among deacons, because sabbatical is usually a paid leave. And I'm not asking for a collection. Okay, I'm fine. But sabbatical is usually a paid leave where you go off and you achieve something. You write a paper or a book, or you do some study or travel and learn a language. I'm not doing any of that. So because deacons don't get paid, so it's just kind of like I'm taking my sabbatical at my pay rate, which is upkiss. So, and that's all fine. But sabbatical is just a nicer way to put it, because it just sounds lovely, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds serene and peaceful.
It makes me sound a lot more important than I feel I am. So, but what I am doing, I am taking a step back and looking at kind of my life and my ministry and what I want to do and how I want to do it. And it's kind of a milestone year for me. May is kind of a milestone month for me. It's my 10-year anniversary of ordination. So it's kind of a nice time.
Congratulations, early.
Nice time to step back. And on the other end of the spectrum, it's also the 10-year anniversary of my husband's death. So I have a little, kind of, that kind of stuff going on. But again, I'm fine. So I am going to take this step back, and I'm hoping to just have less on my plate. That's what the sabbatical time from St. Peter's. I do have a job with the diocese, which many of you know. I'm the director of deacon formation and transition. For anyone who's aspiring deacon, I'm the person you call. So that doesn't go away because there is a paycheck from that job. So that actually can't go away right now. But just to lighten my load a little bit so that I can have some time to catch up on some reading, catch up on some writing that I actually do. There's some projects I want to do, and I hesitate to say them so that you don't call me out on them when I haven't done them at the end. But one of them is that
we won't do that. You can just speak it out into the world.
No, I know, I'm not afraid of that at all. One of the things I've done at St. Peter's and elsewhere is I have this retreat that I've developed on the Magnificat, which is one of my favorite prayers. And so it's kind of gone in a couple of different directions, depending on whether we do it over weeks or we do it in one night. And so I want to do some refining on that and make it into a much tighter and better product, and perhaps bring it to other parishes and inflict it on them. You will examine yourselves.
That's always the best strategy, I think.
Yes,
forced self-reflection.
Yes, exactly. So, and then the burning of the papers afterwards, which I might, integrate into that. So that's really it. I have a place on the beach. It just, coincidentally is going to be summertime when I'm taking this sabbatical. That was not by accident.
A surprise.
I'll be spending a lot of time out there.
Well, it sort of fits into what I think of sabbatical. I appreciate your expounding on what a sabbatical actually is, because when I think of it, I just imagine you in a Hawaiian shirt. No matter where. What's that?
A Hawaiian shirt, you said.
Yes.
Not a skirt.
No, although. Well, there's a concept, Hawaiian skirt.
It's not a concept. That would. Okay, not in the same sentence as me. Okay. Otherwise, I might lose my title of.
Oh,
you'll never lose it. Look, it's metal.
I have no. This doesn't even bend. Okay, so this is permanent.
Oh my gosh, I love that artifact.
The gift from Christine.
Yes, it's so appropriate. It's so
appropriate. Name didn't stick. She wanted to make sure.
You are a badass deacon,
we
and
naming things today, didn't we?
No. And you are someone I appreciate tremendously in life, especially within our church community. And I've seen you go on sabbatical before, and in my heart, and I'm very sure in others' hearts, you're always missed, and it's always great when you come back. But I wish you all the best on the sabbatical, and thank you for sharing one of your goals. A little accountability doesn't hurt, but no pressure.
No pressure.
Denise, when are you coming back from sabbatical?
Oh, well, sometime in August, maybe later in August. I just have to see how things kind of are in my life at that point as well. So, but church seasons kind of do start up Labor Day anyway. So, so it's around then, if.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so we won't see you at all.
Well, I'm on Facebook.
Good. We can follow your adventures.
My very edited adventures.
The adventures of the Badass Deacon.
Yeah, that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you will be missed, and of course, we'll pray for you, and we'll be thinking of you. But
thank you. So all right. So bye.
No, don't go away.
We have lots of questions still. And I know Denise, in the prep call for this, she expressed extreme excitement for the questions that we had created for her. She loves this.
Yes.
I don't know this. I'm just excited with anticipation.
For it to be over. Well, why don't we just dive right in then, so we can start torturing, asking you all of these things. Well, I'm going to start with a question, Christopher, because I think there's a very good story behind it. So, Denise, would you like to tell us anything about any brushes with the law or that you have had? No. The good birdies have been chirping, so
I'm the good one in the family. So, well, I have had a recent brush with the law, I have to say. A couple of weeks ago, I was driving up to upstate New York to visit a friend, and I was going like a little fast in the car. And then I saw the troopers kind of in the middle, with I think they just have coffee there or something, but apparently they're looking for people going a little fast. And so I saw the lights go on, and I'm like, no. And so then there was a truck. So I got in front of the truck thinking I could hide. That doesn't work, by the way. They have a way to find you. And so finally he got me and moved me over. And so by the time he came up to the car, I had my license and registration out, and I handed it to him. And I said to him, I said, I knew this was my day. I was just having too much fun. And he said, did you ever get a ticket before? And I said, well, no. I said, well, not a speeding ticket, but I did get a bad turn, ticket a few years ago. So, all right, he went and did all the paperwork. Apparently they have a printer in the car now, and they print out a whole thing. And he brought it back and he explained it to me. Do this, you have to be there by this date, or mail it in. And if you want to plead guilty, I said, no, I'm not guilty. I said, I'm not pleading, not guilty. And that was it. So I go on my way. I get to where I'm going, and I finally looked at the paper trying to see, what do I have to pay, or and I see this section that said, defendant's statement, which will be used if it goes to trial. And the statement said, I knew this was my day. I was just having too much fun. It's on my permanent record now.
It's like a Bonnie and Clyde.
I'm not guilty now if I wanted to.
You sound like the party girl from Days Gone By.
Yeah, well, I sound like
hilarious.
An idiot. That's what I sound like. I sound like. So that's on my permanent record, and.
That's very funny.
I don't know what to tell you.
I like it.
I'm thinking that might be my new thing that I want on my tombstone now.
Yes, I knew it was
my
I want on my tombstone.
It was my time.
I knew it was my time.
I
was having way too much fun.
All right, forget the I'm here. My other one was I'm here if you need me. So maybe that's
I like this one better.
I love it. Good question.
And
is it my turn?
It's more letters.
It's
my family
your turn.
My family will have to pay more for that because it's longer, but it's all right.
That's all right. You're gone. You don't have to worry about it.
I love it. Here's a question from me, because I don't know if I actually have asked this question of you before in private or whatever, but what are some of your hobbies?
So I don't really have any. So like, to me, a hobby is something that, requires some skill or or creativity or, you know, thing like that. That's how I think of hobby, because I always think of hobby as something that you go to that Michael's store and buy some shit, you know?
I hope the kids aren't on anymore.
Like, Michael's, it brings that out in a person, like the pressure.
Yeah, it does. Those stores take up space that could be used for a Trader Joe's. But anyway, so I think of it as that. But so things that I like to do, I love, these are so boring. I love to read. I love to walk. I walk in the city a lot. I walk on the beach a lot. That's really it. I love music. I listen to music. I go on and I listen to every kind of music, but then I go through phases where I'm listening to the same thing over and over again. And when we had CDs back in the day, I used to actually burn CDs. I mean, not burn them in a good way, but like burn them and destroy them because I played them too much. And then I'll move on to, so especially Broadway show tunes. Sometimes I get hooked on a show. Oh. Spring Awakening, I've probably heard it, you know. I've seen it 3 times in different venues. So all my favorite shows I do that with. Right now, I downloaded a Beach Boys album. That's my generation. The album is called Pet Sounds, which was one of their famous albums. But the 50th anniversary edition, it goes on for about 2 hours. And it's basically the Pet Sounds album. And then it's just the instrumentals, which is amazing, amazing. Just the instrumentals. And then they do a live thing that they recorded that goes in there. And then there's some tribute. I mean, it just goes on. And you hear a lot of the songs the same, you know, over and over again. It's not like the Beach Boys did 100 songs.
They weren't prolific, but boy, did they make an impact.
They had impact. And that makes me so happy. Other than that, if I have some really good Beatles albums. Compilation albums, and the one from the Vegas show, Love, it's the Beatles show in Vegas. It's still on, I think, when shows are on. It's called Love. That's the best compilation album for me. Just the way they put it together, and it's a good one. So I listen to everything, but you know, I have certain things that I just beat to death, and then I have to put them aside for a while. Okay, enough.
I love it. Music.
So that's my hobby.
Just so we know, those of us who...
my hobby. So I should go to Michael's and get a broom or something, right?
do you have a phonograph, a record player? Do you listen to LPs?
Oh, no, you just said LPs.
I did.
Slowly I turned. You know, my late husband was a big jazz aficionado. Is that the word? Mm-hmm. And he had an immense collection of jazz LPs and CDs, and they were bequeathed to various places after he passed away. But just to give you an idea, the CDs, he bequeathed 26,000 CDs to Jazz at Lincoln Center, and there's actually a library in their offices with his name on the outside on a plaque.
6,000?
Yeah, and then the LPs that he had left, because he had already donated some, he had about 2,500 LPs left, which he bequeathed to Rutgers University, which has a big jazz department. They didn't want them. They didn't have room for them. They denied the bequest, which means it reverted then to me as my property. And then I found a really wonderful place to donate them to. So I don't have any LPs in this house. That it's like for that. I just, right now, I have a couple of CDs I've held on to for whatever reason. Every year I get rid of a few more because I didn't feel secure getting rid of the CDs because I wasn't 100% sure I could get that music someplace else. But now I'm pretty high tech. I've got it all downloaded. I really don't know how to access it. It's all in there. I
love it. Denise Jetson. I love it.
That's right.
Well, okay, here is a good question. What will you treat yourself with while you're on sabbatical?
Okay, so there's this really good ice cream in Long Beach. There's an ice cream place. It looks like a Carvel place on the road coming in, but instead of Carvel, it's called Marvel. Anybody who knows Long Beach knows about Marvel ice cream, and it's just really good. It's soft serve, you know, it's like a Carvel type of ice cream, but their own blend. It's family owned. And last year they opened up a Marvel on the boardwalk. But fortunately, they're each a mile walk from where I live there. So I do have to work it off, but I don't drive to Marvell. All right. If I have to, I will. But if it's an emergency, I will drive for the ice. But normally I do the walk, get the ice cream, and then walk back, and then I feel that I'm kind of even Steven,
Yeah.
So
I thought you were going to say that they were a mile away from each other, and you would get one and then walk over to the next one.
No, but if I
would totally do.
I'm going to try to build the walking up to 4 miles, during the summer.
Yay!
Do that.
Yeah, you should. You'll be thirsty and a little hungry because it's hot and it's summer, so that's perfect.
Yeah, and the best thing is there's bathrooms on the boardwalk.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand
we have to think about these things.
There's very nice bathrooms all along the boardwalk, so you can take a really nice walk and no worries.
Very nice. Very nice. That's a good one.
This concludes the TMI section of the broadcast.
I don't think so, Denise. I think there are other things that are really
coming. That's an open pass, unfortunately. But here's a question, just because we won't be with you for a little bit, so I'm going to squeeze some of your clerical energy from you in this moment. But so is there a church activity, a mission, or a resource within the church community that you would like to highlight, something that perhaps we don't think to take advantage of or lean on? But
as a resource for you guys, I don't know. I think that I think you should talk to your deacon more, and and use your deacon as a resource. And I also, were you going with this question? I thought you were going somewhere else. So what came to mind was, my other ministry is Ecclesia Ministries, and I talked about this before, and I've been doing that for 8 years, and it's at 2:00 every Sunday, and I'm going to still do that for a few more weeks. And when I get to the point where I'm really staying out in Long Beach, I'll take a break from them as well. But and right now we used to be in Madison Square Park, but right now we closed down for the pandemic. We reopened. We're at Transfiguration Church, which is on 29th Street between 5th and Madison. We celebrate outside in the courtyard, if weather permitting, or we just go inside the church. We have a movable altar that we used to wheel to Madison Square Park, and we have and at Madison Square Park, it served the population of homeless and needy people in and around the park, and those people know to find us at Transfig, and so they come and we have a Eucharist for them every Sunday at 2:00, and then they get a bagged lunch after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been a very special ministry to me. I'm very devoted to that congregation. I've known them a long time. We've had deaths, we've had sickness, we've had we've had a lot going on there, and it's just such a dear to me ministry. And as deacons, we have our mission in our ministry within our parish, but we also have to have a ministry in the world. And so that is my ministry in the world.
I love that. I've made sandwiches for
you did, didn't you? Yes.
Yes.
That was great. A couple of times we did sandwiches when we had a Sunday where we had no sponsoring parish. I would have the St. Peter's community do that at coffee hour, and the kids would draw on the paper bags for the guys, and the guys and a couple of gals, and it was nice. It was fun.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Okay, so here's another one. If you had one thing that you could tell your 20-year-old self, what would some wisdom you could impart, or not wisdom, but what would you tell your 20-year-old self now, looking back?
Snap out of it.
It's not all that bad.
My 20-year-old self, man, there's no words to describe that person. So what I would say to her is possibly just chill, just be patient. Just be patient. It was not an easy time in my life. My 20-year-old self. I lost my parents when I was quite young, and so that was a new thing for me at that time of my life. So I was struggling with a lot of different things, and they say I have heard that about mothers that and this, I don't know if this sounds harsh or not, but I heard this expression about mothers, and it was meant to be nice, that you never really grow up until you lose your mother. You never really completely grow up until you lose your mother. So when you lose both parents at a young age, you really grow up very fast in some ways, but you're immature in other ways, because you can't force some of that stuff. Just means you need experiences to become mature. But I think what it did was it really fed into making me the person that I am, whether that's good or bad. But I am extremely independent, and I always have been. And part of that is I don't take credit for that, because I've had to be. So it's given me, the plus side is it's given me some life skills that have been very helpful. And when my husband died, I was, a lot of times, not just women, but women and men, fall apart after a long relationship like that when they lose someone, because they don't know how to be alone. And especially if you have, and I didn't in my marriage, because I'm such a modern woman, but in kind of a more traditional, let's call it old-fashioned marriage, which is a wonderful thing, there were roles, right? There were roles. And so if someone died, that whole role was gone, and the other person never did that. So it equipped me to do as well as I have done after losing my husband. I think that that doesn't, I don't have to tell you, that doesn't mean to say that I hurt any less than someone else.
Sure.
But my coping, compare myself to someone. I know women, I've worked with women, I've counseled women who have never written a check, who have never driven alone or got a speeding ticket driving. Now I'm one of those. But there's people that have not done any major life skills, and then all of a sudden they're alone. And it's very hard to deal with all of that on top of, grief and loss. So I was a little ahead of the game with I could run my life.
Yeah.
I could run the details of my life.
Yeah.
And that was something I did not have to worry about. What was the question?
What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Okay, I would tell her all of that. I would tell her all of that. And she would be nodding out at this point and saying, just go away.
Well, I don't think any of our 20-year-old selves could handle knowing about all the things that are going to happen in your life, all of the beautiful things and all of the trauma. How could you? I just couldn't wake up the next day.
I would never believe anything about how my life turned out. Never. Never.
Yeah. Probably me too. How about you, Christopher? Would you
just be open to the journey? Right?
Does your life look like what you thought it might look like when you were 20, Christopher?
No. I'm often saying my younger self would be looking at me now going, what? That's amazing. Oh, wow. I think my younger self would be like mind blowing, and I guess that beats the alternative of my, 20-year-old self going, really? That's all you got? No, but, but I feel like I grew up, sort of like understanding the bigger world, but I was also pretty sheltered as well. So to be able to experience some of the things that I feel like I've experienced. Yeah, my 20-year-old self would be like, okay. And yeah. Not to say I haven't made my fair share of mistakes along the way. Oh, gosh. If I could sell them, those mistakes, we'd have a new rectory.
They're not mistakes. They're all of the learning experiences that made us who we are. So
yes, and some of us have a bigger learning curve than others.
That's true. Well, that's very true.
I'm lit. Here's another clerical type question. Just milking you dry here before you go on sabbatical. Give you a reason to rest. But hopefully it's pretty easy. If you were to teach someone about prayer, what kinds of things would you share with them?
Well, I think that the most important thing to tell someone about prayer is that you can't force it, nor can you feel inadequate if you don't feel that you're doing it right, because there is no right way. And I think a lot of times people give up on prayer because they think there's a knowing how to do it part of it. Okay. And people say, oh, I couldn't pray, so I just sat there. And okay, that might have been your prayer, So I'm very much I'm interested in meditation and contemplative prayer, because I think that's where it all comes from. And I try to tell people, again, with the not to force it, but sometimes, especially if I'm in a pastoral care setting, especially if someone's sick, when I, in a hospital call, and someone just can't, in those times you're so worried and you're hurting and you're sick, to gather that all into a prayer is very, very difficult. But and there's just so much you can do as a pastoral care provider to pray with them or for them. Okay, that's nice and it's good, but there's just, you kind of want to leave them with something. And one of the things that I do is to suggest that they just get a notebook and just don't worry about beautiful prose or anything else, and just write some stuff down, even if it's random thoughts, and do it in a prayerful and quiet way. And if that doesn't work for you, maybe start it as a letter. Dear God, and the three biggest prayers, right? The three biggest prayers.
No, teach us.
Help, thanks, and wow. All you need.
Yeah.
I giggle because it's so like basic and straight to the heart and straight to the point. I'm sorry, I have to write that down.
Well, there's a book on it.
I love that.
I didn't come up with that. It's in a book.
Yeah. No, but you share it with us, and this is, I guess it's my way of advertising you to our church community as a great resource.
Yeah, in a few months.
Yes, that's right. Nobody in 3 minutes from now, then nobody bothered Denise for several months.
Well, so. Timing is everything.
Obviously, anyone can email me if there's,
I love it.
That's really fine.
I love it.
Well, we are nearing the end of our time together, so I'm going to ask one more question. I saved the juiciest question for last.
Okay.
So tell me about, it's been 10 years since your husband passed away, and some people do this thing called dating sometimes.
What?
And I know I don't find it to be that pleasant or enjoyable, but I do hear that some people like to do that. So what's your viewpoint on that, or how have you just what's your viewpoint on dating?
I've heard of this thing called dating. No, but seriously, I do that. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy it?
Most of the time.
Wow.
I feel that, well, look, my attitude about it is that I do it online because I'm not going to a bar. Okay. I'm yes, notwithstanding, I'm not a bar. So it's the only game in town, and I'm very safe with it. So nobody should be concerned about me. I am extremely safe. I always get someone's phone number before I give them mine, and I do a background check.
Oh, wow. You're really serious about it. Good for you.
I don't want to know about the speeding tickets because who am I to talk? But all I want to see is that phone number matches their first name or the town they live in. I just want to see something. And sometimes you don't, and then there's something wrong because they're scams. And so anyway, so that's what I do. I feel that it's a social networking thing. Okay. To be social and to have company and to have, and to get to go out. And so if I have a date and it's not going to be a person for me, which is most of the time, because, all of this going on and this and this, I got a lot, people can't really deal with me. But if it's not going to be a thing, at the minimum, I enjoy people. I love people. I've had a nice dinner with someone. And sometimes we stay friends and sometimes we don't. But I hardly ever, come screeching back, home like, oh my God, get me out of here. At a minimum, I come back with, a chapter from my book, you know what I mean? And some of you do, but so I have fun. I have a lot of dates. I have a lot of first dates. Okay. And I have met some people that I thought might, it could have been something else. Part of my problem is that I really am not, a lot of people are looking to get married or live with someone, and they're looking for that. I'm not looking for that. And a lot of men are. And, but I also say never. You know, you can turn on a dime when you meet the right person, right? Things you never thought that you would consider.
Totally.
So never say never. But right now, I don't see that that's something that I'm seeking. I'm seeking to have someone in my life. The pool is very small. I'm not a young woman. Okay. In New York City. Okay. In New York City, the number of, I'm 69. So we're looking at an age group in that ilk, right? So in New York City, in the New York City area, the number of heterosexual men in my age group that are available is, I don't know, it's like 4 or 5, you know, and I think I've dated them all already, but it's, there's nothing. And many years ago, I spoke to a friend of mine, actually at my previous parish, one of the parishioners, who's a gay man. And I was explaining, you know, I think I even read him my profile online. I said, I think I sound really good, you know, I'm like, you know, I have a lot to offer. And he said to me, he thought about it. And he said to me, you know what your problem is? You have a great product, but you're in the wrong marketplace. And so.
What marketplace are you supposed to be in?
I'm in the marketplace of New York City, where there's not a lot of heterosexual men in my age. Okay. Now, when I go to Long Island, it's a whole new world.
Really?
Yeah, but then you have another element. But okay, but that's another story. So there's a geographic, you know, you can see a cultural difference in just those areas. And Long Island, for me, my beach place is only 30 miles away. It's a whole nother world. And it's a little more relaxed. You walk on the boardwalk, you talk to people. At New York City on the street, not so much. But anyway, that's my story. So yes, I date.
Wow. Okay. That was a good answer. I'm shocked that
and I'm available if anybody has a father or an older brother or a grandfather, you know.
Now you have your whole church community as your wing person.
That's right. That's true. You can contact me while I'm on sabbatical, any of that.
We'll all be looking out for you. And of course, we would want nothing but the best for you, because that's what you deserve in every aspect of life.
Yes. And people in the chat are saying they want you to write a story about your dating adventures. So
I love it. I have one more question though, but who's going to take care of your plants while you're away?
Oh, these guys?
Yeah.
Well, there's a plan. What I do is, as I make trips to Long Island and stay for longer and longer periods, by the time I'm really going to be out there and less in this, you know, in the city, I transport them out there.
Now, are you a plant lover? Is this something that?
Yeah, I'm a plant lover. And
how
then
did you learn to?
I have a terrace out there. So then they'll go live on the terrace.
Oh, nice.
There's like 2 plants that I can leave here because they can go without water for a while. You know, they'll be all right and they're forgiving. But then I get them out there. These coleus plants, I've made all these from one big plant from last summer. And so I'll make more plants out of that and give them away. But then I buy some more for the terrace and I get a tomato plant and maybe some, you know, vegetables that might grow on a terrace and I have a little farm.
Is this something someone shared with you, or is this something you discovered on your own?
I've always had plants. I've always loved plants. I've always had a lot of plants.
Well, this comes full circle because now you have a hobby. This is what we call a hobby.
Oh, and you don't have to go to Michael's.
And you don't have to go to Michael's.
Okay, then. Thank you. Helping me cover myself.
No, thank you, Deacon Denise. I love you. We love you.
I love you guys too. I danced at your wedding. You know, I mean,
yes.
Not love somebody.
And we will miss you, of course, but we'll be looking forward to you being back. But it's also very important that you take time for yourself, that you're doing. Enjoying your summer and experiencing all the other aspects of life. You're like the definition of humanity in the church world, as far as I'm concerned. So thank you.
Thank you. I love that. I love that you said that. I hope to live up to that. So,
well, we will send you off with many, many blessings and love. And I'm
Yes.
sure everyone else at St. Peter's is doing the same virtually.
Yes.
Yes, Mitch says, thanks for sharing. Have a great sabbatical.
Yay.
So all of it. And we will miss you. We will miss seeing your face and your sense of humor and all that stuff. But go have a lovely time.
Come back with some good stories.
Yes, write more stories about your dating adventures. We want to know.
My life's an open book now.
I love it.
But now it is.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We love
Maybe
you.
I'll get power here soon.
Thank
Ole, 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 ole. Ole.